Arguably the best Thursday night game will take place in Salt Lake City as we have a rematch from one of the best week 1 games of last year as Florida takes on number 14 Utah. And you know, there are a lot of question marks surrounding both teams entering this game, but for us, the $1 million question is, can Utah get their revenge over the Gators? And that is the question that we are going to answer today. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We are so glad that you could join us today, ready to break down our first game of the week of week 1. College football, guys, officially back. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, including those expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. If you want guaranteed winnings, a guaranteed winning record, and the best customer service that any handicapper in the country can give you, this is the place for you. For one of the lowest prices in the entire country, you can get spread picks that have beat out over 80% of the national handicappers each of the last 5 years. We can guarantee winnings for you guys if you go sign up today. You do not want to miss out on our week 1 picks. Again, best picks in the country, one of the lowest prices in the country, guaranteed winnings. No one else can give that to you. Go sign up today over on thegridironexpert.com. Check out our Patreon account for exclusive college football content year-round as well. And send us some gear to our background here so we can represent your team in every single video. We've had a lot of fans send in some great gear so far. We are especially in some more need of some helmets. So whether it's Florida, Utah, or whoever your team may be, send it to us at that mailing address so we can represent them in every single video all season long. So let's take a look at this game, guys. This is the game that I'm going to have on the big TV, right? I got a couple different monitors, but this is the game I'm going to have front and center. Florida at number 14 Utah, rematch of last year's game where Florida upset the Utes 29-26 in the Swamp in Billy Napier's first game with the Gators. So it was a phenomenal game, one of the best games of week 1, one of the best games of the year, I should say, and the Gators prevailed despite resulting in an ultimate disappointing season. You take a look at this year's matchup, though. Things have changed a little bit, obviously, for both teams. Utah coming off their second straight Pac-12 title despite the loss last year. Florida coming off a losing season and not a lot of hype surrounding the Gators this year. And I'd say a major reason for that is because of the question marks offensively for Florida. You look at the Gators right now. Offensively, it's a concern. Graham Mertz was named the starting quarterback by Billy Napier. Mertz, the transfer quarterback in from Wisconsin, where he threw for almost 5,400 yards, completed just 59% of his passes for 38 touchdowns and 26 interceptions. To put it bluntly, Graham Mertz was mediocre at best during his time in Madison. 4 years with the Badgers. He was mediocre, inconsistent, and transferring to Florida, we knew he needed out of the Wisconsin system. Wasn't going to be a great fit with Luke Fickell, but transferring to Florida was a bit of a head scratcher. But ultimately, he was enough to win the starting job. The question is, can he deliver? Can he be consistent? Can he deliver in the clutch? Can he do that against a stingy Utah defense? That is the $1 million question here. You take a look at how Florida succeeded last year, right? 283 rushing yards from the Gators because they had a guy named Anthony Richardson as their quarterback. That was the kind of big Anthony Richardson breakout game. Was phenomenal against the Utes. Utah had no answer for him, especially on the ground. Through the air, not something he was okay, but on the ground is where they dominated. 283 rushing yards. But now Anthony Richardson isn't there. Graham Mertz is not going to go out there and even rush for over 50 yards, let alone over 100 like Anthony Richardson did. So that dynamic quarterback has been taken out of the equation for Florida entering this game against Utah. Yes, we know they have Montrell Johnson. We know they have Trevor Etienne. Both running backs rushed for over 700 yards last year. That's phenomenal, and that's good. Florida, I think, going to try to establish that run early, try to win up front at the line of scrimmage early and often, because Graham Mertz going to go through some growing pains early and going to have to build chemistry with a wide receiver core that loses 3 of their top 4 pass catchers from last year. Factor in an offensive line that loses a handful of key starters as well. And there's some major question marks around this Florida offense, no doubt about it. Take a look at Utah, though. They've got major questions on offense, too. Why? Because their star quarterback, Cam Rising, may not even play. Rising was injured in the Rose Bowl back in January against Penn State. Utah's lost to Penn State in the Rose Bowl. Was injured in that game, and he may not even be healthy enough to play in this season opener against the Gators. That's a bit of a concern. It's obviously affecting the spread as well. Utah opening with a roughly 7-point favorite, now dropped about 4.5, 5 points. So it's dropped a few points as we get closer and closer to time and we begin to realize that Cam Rising maybe won't play. That's a bit of a concern too, right? He's out. That more than likely, that's going to be a concern. But then you've got their backup quarterback, Brandon Rose. He got injured as well. So Utah very well could be down their starting quarterback in Rising. They're definitely going to be down Brandon Rose, which means they're going to have to rely on a guy like Bryson Barnes or Nate Johnson to lead the charge for the Utes. Barnes had 57 attempts, 430 yards, and 4 touchdowns last year, so a little bit of playing experience that maybe should calm Utah fans a little bit, but probably doesn't give them the warm and fuzzies heading in to this game in Salt Lake City. But outside of the quarterback position, if Cam Rising is good to go and healthy, the Utes will be just fine offensively. If not, and they have to rely on Barnes, they may have to rely on some other things. And the question is, can they do it? DeQuinton Jackson returns at running back, over 500 rushing yards and 9 touchdowns last year. 2 of their top pass catchers are back, which is great. Their offensive line is insanely strong as well. So Utah has the pieces offensively to thrive, but the quarterback position very much up in the air. Florida might not have a great quarterback in Graham Mertz, but at least they've got a healthy one and an experienced one. That's one thing that Florida, believe it or not, might end up owning the quarterback edge entering this game if Cam Rising is not 100% and is not cleared to play. Something that we may not even know until right before kickoff. You take a look at the defense. Keep in mind, this video filmed well in advance, a week prior to the start of it. So if announcements have been made, we certainly didn't know about it. The defense, though, Florida arguably could be a strength for the team this year. And that's going to be great for Florida. Florida's going to be licking their chops, literally, if they can be facing off against Bryson Barnes. That would be phenomenal for them. 5 starters are back on defense for Florida. Yes, they do lose their top 5 tacklers from last season, but their front 7, really underrated. People aren't talking about it nearly enough. This is a strong front 7 for the Gators, and that's, again, going to be key if they're facing a backup quarterback. Facing a quarterback that's going to be nervous, facing an SEC opponent. Yes, they've got home field advantage, but this is a good Florida defense. And if the Gators can get after him and create a little pressure, rattle him early, they might take away some of that home field advantage. They might take away any explosiveness that the Utah offense was hoping to throw at this Gators defense. That's going to ultimately be the key for Florida here, is to create pressure on whoever is quarterback, but especially if it is Barnes. The Gators only had 23 sacks in 2022. Those numbers are going to have to increase significantly. They're also going to have to find a way to stop the run, right? The beauty for Utah is, whether it's Cam Rising, whether it's Barnes, or whoever else it may be, Florida struggled to stop the run last year. They allowed 175 rushing yards per game, including 230 rushing yards to Utah last year. So this might be an opportunity where Utah tries to take the pressure off whoever's quarterback, even if it's Cam Rising and he's healthy, hand it off to Jackson, hand it off to their running backs, let them do the dirty work. Let them run, and that ultimately will set up the pass, maybe set up for some easy throws for whoever is under center for the Utes. Something to watch out for if you're Florida. Got to stop the run. Take a look at Utah. Their defense is loaded. They certainly own the defensive advantage. 9 starters back for the Utes after allowing just 21.4 points per game last year, just 334 total yards per game last year. They are solid on all 3 levels. Their defensive line's good. Their linebacking core is good. Their secondary is good. But like Florida, their front 7, very, very strong. Arguably the strength of the team up front on the defensive line and the the linebacking core. And if you're Florida, that's a concern, especially with a handful of questions on that offensive line. That's a bit of a concern. Cole Bishop returns as the leading tackler for Utah this year. He also leads the secondary. 6 of their top 8 tacklers return as a whole. And like we just mentioned, Utah owns that offensive edge or defensive edge. Offensively, maybe you lean Florida, depending on the status of Cam Rising. I think if he doesn't play, Florida owns the offensive edge. If he does play, I think Utah still owns a slight edge, even though Rising might not be 100%. So you take a look at this game, guys. Take a look at the overall picture. We've just broken down the entire game, some keys to the game, everything like that. What's going to happen in Salt Lake City on Thursday night? Again, it's a tough game to predict as we still do not know the status of Cam Rising. It's concerning. But I will say that even if he does not play, I'm going to give Utah the win here. I think Utah still wins this game even if Rising doesn't play. The defense is insanely strong. I think Utah's defense comes in there. They rattle Graham Mertz, who will be playing in one of the tougher environments and of his collegiate career. He played in some tough ones in the Big Ten, no doubt about it. Salt Lake City, Rice-Eccles Stadium, that's a completely different level as well. I think the Utah defense steps up big, creates opportunities, maybe creates some short fields for their offense, and that's going to ultimately translate to a win here. It's going to be big for the Utes. You take a look at this game also. Kyle Whittingham is entering his 19th year with Utah. During his time with Utah, he's 84-25 at home, including a 26-2 mark in the last 5 years. Salt Lake City will be rocking for this game. Season opener at home, at night, against an SEC opponent, one they lost to last year in the Swamp and desperately want to get revenge on. I love Utah in this game. The home crowd plays a major role. Utah wins behind the strength of their defense, and the Utes get revenge over Florida to begin 1-0 in what should be one of the top games of week 1. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Make sure you sign up for those today so you can take advantage of all of our week 1 picks. Check out our Patreon account. Send us some gear to that mailing address. Don't miss out on an opportunity to do that. And of course, once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.